If you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Hi guys, I'm back. It's Mishel, Deception Bytes, and it is still November 9th, and it is 8:40 p.m. Eastern Time. I've had to start this over again. We are looking into Q-related news, of which there is plenty, but I restarted this because I was being a little bit silly and sarcastic, overly sarcastic. So I'm going to, I have restarted this, even though the last one was pretty funny, but yeah, it was maybe not. Okay, so let's go and get into the news. I've got a lot of it here. What I've done is I've picked out a lot of stuff that I think that you guys would find interesting, and I've based that on the fact that I find it interesting, and so hopefully that logic will work well for us. So let's get into this. It's kind of pick and miss, like I've just picked here and picked there and put it together. And we're going to move quickly from one to another, not really stopping too long to get into it because there's so much out there. But here is the first thing, and it is teacher Lakeisha Williams with ties to Gillum. So this teacher that found this provisional ballot box that had been hiding in her school like a snake, I guess, just hiding there, invisible. Apparently, I mean, nobody saw it for 2 days. It must have been invisible. And she just happens to find this box, and she happens to have ties to Gillum. Apparently, they are friends. Well, isn't that a surprise? And she says it was left behind by election workers. Do you believe that? Because I don't. I don't believe it at all. So then she finds this ballot box, which apparently had been invisible for 2 days, and she finds it and she tells her friend. And who does she tell? Well, a state legislator who is also a friend of Gillum. Now, how was she so sure that this would be pro-Gillum? How did she know that the ballots in that box, that Gillum might be interested in that? I mean, after all, he had lost by quite a large margin. But now the margin's shrinking, of course, because we found this ballot box full of pro-Gillum votes. How did she know? You know, this friend of Gillum's who's a teacher at the school where the ballots were cast. How did she know? These are questions that I think that we deserve to have answered. So anyway, now Ron DeSantis won there. He's a red. He's Republican, obviously. He defeated Andrew Gillum, who is the Democratic contender. But now the recount, thanks to this provisional ballot box full of pro-Gillum votes, the race is getting tight. Now, would you call that cheating? Well, I'm highly suspicious. Let's put it that way. And I think any thinking person would be. And I think it's very telling that this person's a friend of Gillum, is also a teacher at the school where the election took place. And, this goes missing for 2 days, apparently becoming invisible. And then all of a sudden it pops up and lo and behold, it's full of ballots for Gillum. Well, I mean, if you believe in miracles, that is one, right? No. I think somebody very human had something to do with that, and I think that it will be called out and dealt with. Now, let's go to this. Marco Rubio. A new and troubling allegation has emerged, a statement under penalty of perjury that Palm Beach County filled out new ballots to replace damaged ones without allowing campaign representative to witness the process of creating the new ballots as required by Florida law. Now, this is major. It's major. If I was an election worker, I would want to do everything in my power to make sure that I wasn't accused of ever doing anything wrong. So if I was in the process of recreating ballots that had been damaged, I would want to have somebody filming or somebody right there that is bipartisan that could witness. Seriously, I wouldn't want to open myself up to that. But apparently, they don't care in Palm Beach County. But someone under penalty of perjury. So this person is taking this statement very seriously because they could be charged with perjury if they were lying. They stated that they went ahead and created these ballots, that these ballots had been ruined or whatever, and there were people recreating the ballots, but they didn't have anybody there as required by law to witness it. So yeah, lots of things going on with the election that are quite troubling to anybody that is a fan of democracy, that is a fan of, open elections. Like this is alarming. And here, now this is stated by Jack Prosobiec. I'm not a fan of his, but that doesn't mean that he's making this up because this was in the news. Exclusive, Palm Beach County election supervisor Susan Butcher says it will be impossible to meet court-ordered deadline to turn over ballots that her staff made decisions on, asking for emergency reconsideration hearing. Well, why is that? Terry Parker, do you need extra time to ensure that the ruse is complete? Come on, we're not that stupid, and the public's not that stupid for the most part. People know that something is happening there. Pretty obvious. And here we go. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but it is out there in the blogosphere that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is retiring. Now, I had heard that she will retire as of Tuesday. I don't know about that. I know she did have a fall. She broke some ribs, and we wish her well. I don't wish her any harm. I may disagree vehemently with her politics, but I don't wish any harm to her person. So she is at home now, apparently recovering and working from home. I would doubt that she would retire as quickly as Tuesday, but there are reports now, according to the Santa Monica Observer, that she will be retiring in January of 2019. Now that's interesting. It's interesting timing, but of course, the woman is 85 years old and she has worked, I think that it would be reasonable to assert that she wants to retire, but who knows what is behind that or anything, but it's interesting because this person says Feinstein, Harris, and Spartacus are prepared to make fools of themselves, again, fighting the inevitable. Get your popcorn. Well, I would agree with that assessment. However, it is out there in the blogosphere as well that Feinstein is going to be retiring. Now, whether she will retire or whether she will have to step down and she will just say she's resigning and nothing will be said of that because we know the deal that Q made and President Trump made with these people, that if they would not seek re-election, that they would, be off the hook for their crimes. So who knows what's happening there? I'm just reporting that to you. That is what I've heard. I have not been able to verify that yet. The thing about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that is now coming out in some of the papers, so I would imagine there is truth behind that. But in terms of Feinstein, I don't know, or Feinstein, however you wish to pronounce it, I'm not sure. I will keep trying to verify that for you. And here, breaking in Broward County now. Despite a judge's order to inspect all ballots in Broward County by 7 p.m. tonight, the lawyers for Brenda Snipes will not allow members of Rick Scott's team and others from the Florida Republican Party to enter the building to inspect them. Now, we're going to get to that later about the history behind this Brenda Snipes, who has been engaged in fraudulent activities in terms of elections before. This is not her first rodeo. These are not her first clowns. So there you go. We'll get to that in a minute. And here, let's hear from Pocahontas for a moment. This is Elizabeth Warren, and she's just showing blatantly her her hypocritical nature, because here we have her stating in this is June 13th of 2017, and she made this tweet at 3:30 p.m. As our top law enforcement officer, the Attorney General must be truthful and uphold the law. Sessions cannot continue to serve. He must resign. Again, this was June 13th of 2017, and she made this tweet at 3:30 p.m. Well, let's hear from Pocahontas now and see what it is what kind of nonsense she's spewing now. Oh, well, look at here. This is made on the 7th, 2 days ago. She made this statement, November 7th, 2018, at 1:32 p.m. She said, Donald Trump's firing of Jeff Sessions brings us one step closer to a constitutional crisis. Congress must act to ensure that Special Counsel Mueller can do his job without interference. So now she's upset about the firing of Jeff Sessions, whom, she last year wanted, him to resign. What's up with that? Well, we can't expect much from her, can we? I think we've learned to, I think we've learned that can't expect too much from her. How she was reelected, I don't know. I really don't know. I bet you there was some illegal action there, because I can't bring myself to believe that people would reelect her. I don't get it. I don't get it. But hey. All right. And now there's this, more about Brenda Snipes. Corruption yet again in a well-known corrupt Broward County. Now remember, Broward County, that's where we had Sheriff Israel, who told his officers to stand down when we had the shooting at Parkland School. And then we had, the guy in the van, the Make America Great Again guy, that had all these brand new stickers in his van. And we had two pictures of two completely different vans. And that was also in Broward County. And it seems like something else happened there recently, which I can't quite recall. And I'm being serious about that. There's three things there that happened but that's also Wasserman Schultz area as well, which, well. So Brenda Snipes keeps her people working to produce ballots until law enforcement arrive. Once she is confronted, she shouts racism and officials back away, allowing the corruption to continue. Only in Broward County. Only in Broward County. So she keeps her people working to produce ballots, okay? Produce ballots, not count them, produce them, until law enforcement arrives. And then once the law enforcement arrives, she shouts racism, and the officials back away as if she's got a gun. And then they just allow her to continue what she's doing. Okay, carry on, we're racist. Go ahead, we don't care. Nope. So anyone with a reasonable amount of political knowledge is aware that within Florida, the epicenter of voter fraud takes place in Broward and Palm Beach counties. Well, I'm not from Florida, so I didn't know that. But now I do. And it doesn't surprise me a bit, considering what we're seeing and what we've seen in the past from Broward County. I am really glad I don't live there. I'm really glad. I'm sure it's a very beautiful place, and I'm sure that there are a lot of beautiful people there. But when you've got people that are governing you that are that corrupt, no thank you. No, I learned that the hard way a long time ago. And you don't want that. Trust me, because you may be a law-abiding citizen, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they want you targeted, you'll be targeted. Oh, yes, I learned that the hard way. The very, very hard way. Would not live there if you paid me. All right, now let's look at this. Because we can. My computer's slow. It's snowing out and it's cold and it's just saying, I don't want to work. All right. Florida official overseeing vote count destroyed ballots, accused of not removing dead voters from rolls. I know those dead voters. They're troublesome. I don't know what it is about people that die. All of a sudden they want to vote. They may not have voted their whole lives, but once they're dead, they want to vote. We should outlaw that. There should be a law against dead people voting. I'm just saying. We need to make sure it happens. So here's this little chicklet right here, who I guess likes playing the race card because she believes that following the law makes you a racist, apparently. So let's see. The Florida official put in charge of counting votes in Broward County, the most liberal county in the state, for the gubernatorial and Senate race previously destroyed voter ballots, a judge ruled, and was most recently accused of not removing dead voters from the voter rolls. Why is she on this side of the bars of a cell? Why? Why is she not behind it? Why is she not behind bars? I don't understand. If you or I did that, we would be. You can bet that. Broward County Board of Election Supervisor Brenda Snipes is in charge of vote counting in the area and has yet to disclose how many ballots are still not counted despite the election for governor and Senate occurring 2 days ago. They have 48 hours, by the way, to get those votes in. Currently in the Senate race, Republican Rick Scott is leading Democrat incumbent Bill Nelson by more than 20,000 votes. Nelson is hoping for a blowout in Broward County to push him over the edge for re-election. Snipes was confronted by local media about why the vote count in Broward County has taken so long. Well, it takes a little while when you're having to make them from scratch, doesn't it? That would be my assumption. Could I please get a moment to go into the room and find out? Snipes asked. The group huddled around her. Okay, when I come back, I'll let you know. But Dr. Snipes, it is now Thursday. Weinsier? I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. I'm not even going to lie to you. But we are still counting ballots in Broward County. We're counting 5 pages or 6 pages for each of the people who voted, Snipes said. But other counties have been able to do it, Weinsier said. In May, a judge ruled that Snipes had violated state and federal law after she destroyed voter ballots in the state's 2016 congressional election. In the race, former Democratic National Convention DNC chairwoman, Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, oh, that's a name I don't want to ever hear again, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, won re-election by less than 7,000 votes against Democratic primary challenger Tina Canova. The next year, when Canova asked to review the paper ballots in the race, it was revealed that Snipes destroyed the ballots only 12 months after the primary. Well, I wonder why she did that. Why would you destroy ballots? Who in their right mind would destroy ballots? She would. She believes she's above the law. And you know what? I bet you she and Debbie Wasserman Schultz are like this. I bet you any money. All right, the next year, when Canova asked to review the paper ballots, it was revealed that Snipes destroyed the ballots only 12 months after the primary. Federal and state law mandates that ballots not be restored until 22 months after an election. But what does she care about the law? She's above it. The case exposed that Snipes' staff had opened ballots in private in 2016 on Election Day. Last year, hang on here. I'm getting all excited. Last year, Snipes' office was taken to federal court by the American Civil Rights Union, represented by the Public Interest Legal Foundation, after being accused of keeping felons, non-citizens, and dead voters on the voter rolls in Broward County, and at one point allegedly having more voters on the roll than actual voters in the county. That's a problem. Yeah, there was more voters on the rolls than there were in the whole county. But before we go on, I am a little curious about this to see what it shows. So let's look at this.
Will you just update us where things are on the count right now? Just in general.
Could I please get a moment to go into the room and find out? Okay. When I come back, I'll let you know.
But Dr. Snipes, it is now Thursday. We are still counting ballots in Broward County.
5 pages or 6 pages for each of the people who voted.
But other counties have been able to do it.
But other counties didn't have 600,000 votes out there.
Well, Miami-Dade did.
Well, have you been inside Miami? Never mind. Let me go check. I'll check.
But it's a serious issue. It always seems like
it's a serious issue with me. I've been doing this now since October 26th. second.
But if it's a serious issue with you.
We ran 22 sites, we ran 14 days, we ran 12 hours, we had a big vote by mail. So don't try to turn it around to make it seem like I'm making comedy out of this.
I don't think anybody's making, but the question, but there are serious questions. Why is she done for the moment? We'd like to know how many votes are outstanding.
Let's just be patient, and we should be patient here.
I don't think anybody's making comedy.
No, we're just gonna be patient, she'll come back out. We're not antagonistic.
Can you just update us?
Yeah, I already don't like this woman. This is the first time I've heard her speak, and I don't like her attitude. I don't like it one bit. So, yeah. Anyway, let's go back down here. And just last year, Snipes' office was taken to federal court. Okay, that's where we're going to pick it up again, and let's see what she has to say here.
The national controversy over voter fraud and President Trump's commission investigating the issue is now playing out in a federal courtroom. Broward supervisor of elections was called to the stand to defend her voter rolls. Local 10's Glenna Milberg was live in the courtroom, and she joins us now with more. Glenna.
And it could be a precedent-setting case, Janine. Allegations of people who died or moved away or felons or non-citizens on the voter rolls, those are all part of this case playing out on the 10th floor of federal court here. It's a case that some are calling purely political. Nevertheless, the Broward supervisor of election was on the proverbial hot seat today, saying she does everything right.
A member of President Trump's National Commission looking into voter fraud is one of the lawyers alleging Broward County has dead people and other ineligible voters still on the rolls. Broward's election supervisor took the stand to defend her office today.
There are inactive voters by law that have to stay on for a certain period of time until those people are allowed to be removed, and it's a statutory requirement. So anyone who would make a claim like that really doesn't understand the Florida law and what's required for this maintenance efforts.
We just want the voters to turn out.
Dr. Brenda Snipes is named in a federal suit filed last year by the American Civil Rights Union, a conservative voter rights organization. It alleges her office did not do enough to purge non-citizens, felons, even dead people ineligible to vote from the voter rolls. And at one point, there were more people on the rolls than there were even possible in the population. Allegations Snipes refuted in a response letter last year.
Now, I'm not going to play all this, but the thing is, I bet you those votes that she's making up are in the name of some of these dead peoples, and that's why she's, kept them on the rolls. Now, I don't think that they're talking about, the counter is that, yeah, we have to keep them on the roll for a certain amount of time and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't think that, obviously, if they're bringing a lawsuit, they're not talking about that. They're talking about people that should have long been purged from the list that are still on there. Why are they still on there? Well, they can make them vote however they want. That's the thing with dead people. You can make them vote however you want them to vote. I don't know what it is about dead people and wanting to vote, but they do. So there you go. Now, let's go down here. Senator Marco Rubio blasted the slow-moving vote counting in Broward County and the fact that Snipes, despite her scandals, is in charge of the process. Yeah, like I said, you don't ask a wolf to guard your sandwich. I'm gonna go to the bathroom here. Could you watch this sandwich? No, you don't ask a dog to guard your sandwich or a wolf. And you don't ask a cat to guard your milk. And that happened to me just last night. I took a nice glass of milk to bed, and I was reading, and then all of a sudden I hear and I turn around, and there's my cat with her whole head in my glass of milk. So you don't ask a cat to guard your glass of milk either. So they should not have been asking her to to oversee this process, because she's obviously, I'm sure that Ms. Wasserman Schultz and maybe some other people in Broward County put her there for a reason. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah. And long but important threat on elections in Florida, Bay County was hit by a Category 4 hurricane just 4 weeks ago, yet managed to count votes and submit timely results. Yet over 41 hours after polls closed, Broward Elections Office is still counting votes. Yeah, I think that that's a little bit suspect. And down here, Marco Rubio said, Broward Elections Department has a history of violating the law. A court found that they improperly handled votes by mail. Court found they destroyed ballots in 2016 in violation of state and federal law. Why is it that she still has a job? I don't know. Well, actually, I think we do know, don't we? And now, this November 8th, now Democrat lawyers are descending on Florida. They have been very clear they aren't here to make sure every vote is counted. They are here to change the result of election, and Broward is where they plan to do it. And one more, a U.S. Senate seat and statewide cabinet officer are now potentially in the hands of an elections supervisor with a history of incompetence and blatant violations of state and federal laws. So this isn't looking good. And also, I had been reading, I guess it was last night, about they have trucks there blocking people from getting in and so forth. It is a big mess, big mess. So anyway, I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. I'm sure if you are in Florida, you are already aware of that, but perhaps those of us that are not in Florida need to know that is happening. And here is Representative Matt Gaetz. For a party that is willing to cry wolf over voter suppression in every election they lose, Democrats have no problem relying on fraudulent ballots to do the heavy lifting for candidates. I will no longer sit idly by and watch corruption of this magnitude occur. And I hope that he is just one of many that are saying that because this is totally unacceptable. Now, for a little bit of humor, I have thrown this in because I thought that you might enjoy this, maybe even just this much, as much as I did. A model of racial diversity, Harvard. Now, we've got a picture here of Harvard's first woman of color, Elizabeth Warren, 1996 Law Review. And then underneath it says, pale white is technically a color. And I can attest to that because I am very pale white. I am slug white, as I like to say. So, yes, she is a woman of color. She is slug white. All right, let's move on now that we've heard from Pocahontas. And this is a picture that I found quite disheartening and sad. Sad for fans of at Westworld, HBO, and shows like Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. The Paramount Ranch Western Town movie set has burned to the ground in the Woolsey fire. And there's a lot of fires happening in California. And if you guys know any additional information, and by additional information, I think you know what I mean, please put it in the comments below or put links to a place where I can find it. Now, when you do put links, a lot of times it gets your comment gets placed into what I call purgatory, and I have to go and release it so that everyone can see it. It's just a fail-safe measure that they have in place for people that are spamming, and but I do regularly go over there and release comments that have been put in there which don't belong there, which is usually most of them, but people are pretty good on this channel. I don't, very, very rarely do I get, comments that are suspect, and usually when I check it out, I can trace it to a known troll. So, forgot that word for a second. How could you forget a word like troll? It's such an awesome word, troll. Doesn't it just sound like what it is? Some words are like that. Anyway, I am a logophile. I am crazy about words, which is probably why I have a master's in English. I love words. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. I just threw that out for free, but let's go on. Let's go slowly on. All right, now, talking about the California fires, Fox News alert, California wildfire, let me shut this off for a second. Fox News alert, alert, California wildfire forces at least 75,000 people from their homes. And I don't know if you're aware of this, and I follow James Wood on Twitter, and he has been very instrumental in these fires because he's used his massive fan base to tweet out messages and pass messages along using the hashtag. It was campfire, at James Wood campfire or something like that. You would have to check on his Twitter page, but he did make it possible for to get news out about people that needed to be rescued or pets that needed to be rescued or people that were just missing. So he really has been doing a fantastic job with this, and I've been watching his Twitter and have just been amazed with the job that he's done. So anyway, this is very, very serious though, these fires. It's heartbreaking actually. I was watching this last night and keeping up to date with the fire, the campfire, where Paradise burned, and it's tragic. But anyway, let's listen to Fox News here for a second.
By an out-of-control wildfire forced entire town destroyed by an out-of-control wildfire, forcing at least 75,000 people from their homes.
Heavenly Father, please help us. Please help us to be safe.
Look at that video. The Woolsey fire burning 8,000 acres in Northern California. The entire town of Paradise, home to 27,000 people, has been lost. Thousands had to flee on foot. Nearly 1,000 homes and buildings have already been destroyed.
And it makes me feel sick. It really does. Like looking at this picture, that's somebody's home. That's their life. That's maybe where they raised their children. They've got their, all the little knickknacks that they've collected over the years, or presents that people have bought them. Maybe their graduation pictures, maybe their diplomas or degrees, their family photos. It's heartbreaking to look at this. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I really would not. And it really affected me when they were going through this tunnel, fires all around them, and this person is praying, you know, Heavenly Father, keep us safe. And I pray, I would assume since the video got out that they are safe. I pray that they are, but that's terrifying. I don't know what emotions would be going through my head except for, you know, dear Lord, help me, you know, don't let me perish. I don't know what emotions would be going through my head except for fear. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. I'm sure you've seen it on the news. Maybe you're probably keeping up with this stuff as well. But anyway, let me go back here. And we don't need that, but let's pull this back up and go to this. I'm itching my nose, not picking it. Just had to make that clear. In Times Square, now protesting to protect Mueller. So I just wanted to show this as well. This is happening tonight. No, this was last night, actually. Sorry. Apparently these people don't have jobs, or I don't know. I don't know. I could think of a lot better things to do than hang around in a crowd like that. Protesting something, I don't know. It would depend on, it would have to be a very good thing that I was protesting to stand out in the cold like that among all those people. But I don't know. Don't they have to get up in the morning? I don't know. Maybe not. So, all right, that's enough of that. Let's go back here. And let's look at this. And it won't let me. Why is that? Well, who knows? It's not going to let me, so apparently I don't know what the deal is with that, but I guess we'll have to live without seeing it. Now, and why did that go there? Let's do this. Maybe it'll go away. And of course, here we go, delete. All right, and my cell phone is buzzing as well, but that is fine. I'll ignore it if you can. Okay, the law says you have to account for all absentee ballots within 30 minutes of the polls closing. Okay, so once the polls close, you have 30 minutes to count the absentee ballots. here we are nearly 48 hours later, and 2 liberal counties in Florida are possibly cheating. Well, of course they're cheating. Same situation in Georgia. They just keep finding votes. Yeah, that's a little bit strange, but it would be like this, okay? I don't know. I've worked a lot of jobs, going through university and different things. I've worked a lot of different jobs, and one of the jobs that I liked the least was retail. And now, I was very young when I was doing retail, but I had to occasionally do inventory, and I used to manage restaurants as well, very many years ago, and always had to do inventory to account for what was there and what was outstanding, whatever. So you're counting inventory. Let's say you're in a store counting inventory, and you have to account for every single item and how much is there, how much is there. And then all of a sudden, throughout the night, extra stuff just keeps appearing out of nowhere. Wouldn't you wonder? I mean, really, seriously. I mean, usually people do inventory when the store's closed. They may start while the store is open and just, whatever. But generally, the inventory is when the store is closed, and you'd be wondering, like, okay, everything's out of the storeroom. That's already been counted, and now we're counting what is actually on the floor. But just extra stuff, a case here, a case there. Wouldn't you be like, wait a minute? But these people, they don't seem to find it odd at all. These people that are working at these election polls, they just keep finding ballots. They just keep dropping out of thin air. I guess the birds deliver them. I don't know. Drones? I don't know. Where are they coming from? They're making them in the back. That's where they're coming from. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's go to this one. Breaking! Broward County election supervisor who illegally destroyed ballots in Wasserman-Schultz race, Brenda Snipes, is overseeing the extremely consequential recount in Broward County. Don't let the left steal the majority win in Florida. Well, I don't know. Unless somebody does something about it, that's exactly what's going to happen. I pray that this is arrested and stopped immediately, and that those responsible pay to the fullest extent of the law. That is what my wish and my prayer is. Hard to believe that people would stoop to that, but we're not dealing with people with a whole lot of morals, obviously. All right, and this from SGT Report. Caught on tape, massive potential for vote fraud in Broward County, Florida, Debbie Wasserman Schultz district, which tells us everything. Ballots transported in private vehicles and transferred to rented truck on election night violates chain of custody requirements for paper ballots. Well, who does that? Really, honestly, like, I would say that probably as a 15-year-old, I would know. I mean, if I was 15 years old, I would have known that was wrong. You don't do that. It makes perfect sense that you don't do that. So who are these people that thinks it's okay to just take ballots and put them in private vehicles? I'd be like, hold up there. Who's in charge of this? But apparently, these full-grown adults with, I would assume, normal IQs didn't question. They thought it was okay. All right, here we go. And here we go from Where We Go When We Go All Twitter account. Breaking: voter fraud allegedly found in Deep Blue, Florida County. That's according to the Daily Wire. Breaking: voter fraud allegedly found in Deep Blue, Florida County. Over 100 provisional ballots were rejected in Miami-Dade County on Thursday after election officials said that those people showed up to vote. Well, that's embarrassing, isn't it? Yeah, somebody's already filled out your vote for you and you show up to vote and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, you've already voted. And you're like, what? I just got here. I didn't vote. Yeah, that's a little embarrassing. I hate when that happens. Can you imagine? 100. That's 100. Okay, well, how many people did they do that for who didn't later show up to vote? Maybe thousands. It just so happened that 100 of those people that they voted and they filled out those votes for showed up and said, I'm right here. No, I didn't vote. Yeah. That should tip everybody off. I mean, if that happened to me, I would be yelling that as far and wide as I could. I would contact everybody I knew that I thought could make a difference, including the news. And apparently, some of these people did the right thing because it got out. So there you go. Not everybody is corrupt. It seems that way at times, but it's not the case. All right, breaking. California Democratic City Council candidate among 3 charged with voter fraud. Well, this seems to be an ongoing thing, doesn't it? It seems to be the theme of the news lately. City Council candidate among 3 in Kern County charged with voter fraud. Bakersfield County Council candidate Gilberto Della Torre is crying foul over the Kern County District Attorney's Election Day announcement that he was engaged in voter fraud. Apparently, I didn't pull that whole article up because I'm just kind of giving us a survey of what is going on. All right, and this, let's see what this says. This you're going to find hard to believe, and I just say that because I found it hard to believe. Really, really hard to believe. Now, please take us there, because you gotta see this. You gotta. Texas House member wins re-election from a jail cell. Yeah, that's what it says. Texas House member wins re-election from a jail cell. And look, he's even smiling. Oh, I won re-election from a jail cell. Austin. Re-election celebration is underway in Pod 2 of the Montgomery County Jail after inmate number 232573 claimed victory in Texas House District 27. That inmate is known as Representative Ron Reynolds, a Democrat. Well, who else would it be? For Missouri City, to the people on the outside, Reynolds was unopposed in the race for District 27, and the latest vote total shows Reynolds garnered 47,305 votes in Tuesday's election. Reynolds was booked into the county jail on September 7th. He's serving a year-long sentence after a 2015 conviction on 5 misdemeanor counts of using a middleman to chase ambulances in order to solicit clients for Reynolds' law firm. Well, that's exactly who we need, isn't it? Yeah. So, after the 2015 conviction, a county judge handed down the jail sentence to the sitting lawmaker, but Reynolds spent the last 3 years appealing the conviction. Reynolds' law license was suspended on May 2nd, 2016. Since the convictions were misdemeanors, Reynolds did not have to resign from office. Unless Reynolds' sentence is reduced, he will likely be sitting in a jail cell when the legislature convenes in January 2019. Reynolds could miss the entire first year of the 86th legislation session. Good. And if he's not freed before September 7th, 2019. Well, let's hope he does miss that, because I don't think we need him in Washington. I don't think we need him in Washington at all. All right, let's go on. All right. And here we go. Let's go take a look at this. DOJ's new leader said he'd do to Hillary what Sessions didn't do. Okay, well, I like this guy already. The Democrats are going crazy about the replacement for Jeff Sessions, who resigned today. Even though Matthew Whitaker is the acting attorney general, the left is all over him because he once said that the Mueller investigation went too far. So far, we're thinking this new leader is a perfect choice to go after Hillary and shut down the Mueller investigation. You can see Whitaker shaking hands with Sessions as Sessions leaves the DOJ today for his final day as leader of the Department of Justice. You can't miss Whitaker because he's the big guy in the video who was once a football player for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So yeah, this is good news here. Matthew Whitaker is on our team, unlike Sessions, who was timid at best when it came to the Clintons and Hillary email scandal. Check out what Whitaker said about Hillary in 2016. Whitaker penned an opinion piece in 2016 for USA Today. According to FBI Director James Comey's statement on Tuesday, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton could have been charged with violating several different code sections, and he detailed the evidence that supports bringing criminal charges. Yet Director Comey's judgment was that no reasonable prosecutor would bring the case. I disagree. I believe myself to have been a reasonable prosecutor, and when the facts and evidence show a criminal violation has been committed, the individuals involved should not dictate whether the case is prosecuted. Hear, hear. A reasonable prosecutor may ask if on numerous occasions an unknown State Department employee had taken top secret information from a secured system, emailed that information on a Gmail account, and stored the information on a personal server for years, would that individual be prosecuted? I believe they would. I believe that too. I bet you believe that too as well. You know why? Because we're reasonable people. That's why. I love that. I made myself cough again. So, anyway, there you go. That's a little bit of good news there. Very good news. I think we're going to see good things from him. And I guess we just have to wait it out. And here from Liz Crokin, crisis actors much. Survivors of Las Vegas mass shooting were inside California bar attacked by shooter. Now, I'm sure you've all heard this by now, that some of the people shot in the California bar were in fact in the Las Vegas mass shooting. They were survivors of that mass shooting and now have been shot inside the California bar. Now, what are the chances of that? I'd say slim to none. False flag? Yes. Why do I think it's a false flag? I'll tell you why. Because there were too many people when interviewed who were laughing. In fact, the two girls that were interviewed were both laughing, and it was evident that they were laughing, and I believe it was the sheriff that was laughing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was evidently laughing very hard before they began to film. This is what I think. I think when I took drama in high school. Now, I never got into it. I was never really into drama that much, but I remember them telling us that if you want to make yourself cry, the best thing to do is to start laughing. That's what I think that they are directing these people to do. I think that they are telling them, and any of you in acting or have taken acting or acted in, little community theaters or whatever, you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong on this, but they are taught that the best way to make it seem as if you're crying is to begin to laugh and then turn it into a cry. And I think that that is what these people are doing, because sometimes it is hard to tell if somebody who is really distraught is laughing or crying sometimes, but you can tell, because that is what reading body language is all about. If we could never tell, then we'd be all confused about people's emotions. But a lot of times too, you see somebody at a funeral, you pretty much know they're crying. So, I think that that's what's happening here. I think these people are taught to kind of make it a laugh and then go into a cry. I don't know. You tell me what you think. Am I off on this? I might be, but that is just what crosses my mind. I don't believe this was an organic shooting, if you know what I mean. And by organic shooting, there are people that are mentally ill that do shoot other people for no good reason. It does happen. I don't think it happens as much as they would like us to believe it happens, but it does. So it could be an organic, not planned, not this person was an MK Ultra or anything like that. It could have been, but I don't think so here. I don't. Too many red flags for me. All right, let's go on. And here we have from Patriot 24/7, the Washington pundit, Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, Warner order intel agencies to ignore presidential order on declassification until consulting with Congress. The resisting and the abuse of power from newly majority socialist House has begun. So they're already running their gums, flapping their gums. Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, and Warner are already flapping their gums, telling people to ignore presidential order on declassification. Well, yeah, I guess if I was in their shoes and I had all the dirt in my closet, I would be saying that as well. But that's not what's going to happen. It's not. They can hope it, they can wish it, but it won't happen. So here we go with this. New Attorney General Whitaker drops hammer on aliens seeking entry. Now, I cheered so hard when I saw this because this is near and dear to my heart as an immigrant. A legal immigrant who came here legally and was fully vetted. So he said, he drops hammer on aliens seeking entry. America is full. Therefore, no more asylum entries until further notice. Well, doesn't that just put everything to bed? How easy was that? Like, seriously, it's so, sometimes something is so easy that it's brilliant, and you think, well, why didn't I think of that? You know, like, I'm going to give you an example. I have a friend, I told you we rescued 2 kittens. Well, she's got these 2 kittens, and, you know, in order to get them spayed and neutered, they have to be at a certain weight. And she was saying, well, how do I weigh them? They're kittens, they're squirming everywhere. How do I get them to stay on the scale? And a friend of hers said, well, you get on the scale and weigh yourself. Then get off the scale. Then pick up one of the kittens and weigh yourself again. Just subtract your weight and you'll know the weight of the kitten. Well, all of a sudden, I looked at her like a deer in the headlights because I realized how stupid I was. Because I never thought of that. And I would wonder how much my cats weigh. I wonder how much they weigh. And then I'd wait until I went to the vet and I'd ask the vet, well, how much does she weigh now? And then I thought, oh my gosh, I am like the most retarded person ever because I didn't think of that. Sometimes the simplest things are so brilliant. Now, yes, I should have thought of that. And yes, I am ashamed of myself, in case you're wondering. And yes, I did just embarrass myself by saying that. But, you know, what can you do? I am what I am. So, this is something that I threw in here just to shock you because it shocked me. Right to Truth Media. Companies want to replicate your dead loved ones with robot clones. Yes, this is a real article. Yes, this is a real thing. Except, as this article explains, and I'm not going to take you out there and bore you with this whole article, but, like you take a pet ant. Now, I wouldn't do this. I don't know who does this, but says, like you would take a favorite pet and stuff them. Now, I would never do that, but they're saying, well, you're doing the same thing with your loved ones, except you're, in time, will be able to upload their brain and all their consciousness, whatever, to this robot. And the robot will look exactly like your loved one. Ew. No. That's just plain creepy. And Google holds the patent for these clones. So what do you think about that? It's obviously a real thing, and it's obviously what they have planned, and I think it's pretty darn creepy. But what do you think? And yes, this really is a real thing. I know you're probably thinking, oh, come on, that's not real. It is. It really is. I kid you not. All right, now we've got this by our beloved Donald J. Trump. Our president, Rick Scott, was up by 50,000 votes on Election Day. Now they found many votes, and he is only up 15,000 votes. The Broward effect. Love that. You gotta love President Trump. He is a master troll. The Broward effect. I like that. How come they never find Republican votes? I never thought of that. Why don't they ever find Republican votes? The things that make you go, Now, next we have another comment by Liz Crokin. Dianne Feinstein will resign within 72 hours. Remember, I told you that is out there. It's out there. It's floating around. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it brings me back to that visual that I had of Dianne Feinstein after she had read it was a report of some sort, and it was around the whole Kavanaugh thing. And she was reading this, and all of a sudden, she came out from a private room, and she looked like she had seen her dead grandmother. And you could see that there were literal tears in her eyes. Like, it looked like that. She looked absolutely shell-shocked, and I honestly felt sorry for her for a moment. I really did, because when you see somebody that's distraught like that, my first inclination, and maybe it's because I'm female and I've got that mothering thing going, but I want to comfort that person. I want to say, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? Give them a hug or whatever. Seriously, I did feel that sense when I saw her, because she just looked so distraught, and I felt compassion for her. Now, I realize there was probably a good reason for that, and she probably was distraught, and maybe it has something to do with her resigning. Maybe she knew that way back then, that she would have to resign because they had found her out, and in order to not be prosecuted, she would have to resign. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. You can catch it, or you can just let it drop to the ground. All right. Now, there's this. Dan Bongino, if that is how he pronounces his last name, I hope it is. Had there ever been a more self-absorbed, narcissistic, egomaniacal, that is the word, and I will get it out. Had there ever been a more self-absorbed, narcissistic, egomaniacal human being pretending to be a journalist like this? Zero. Jim Acosta, greetings from Paris, where we're on the ground for Trump's trip to France. Number 1A. Now, he's banned from the White House. Trump clearly does not like this man, so why would CNN send Jim Acosta to cover this? His trip to Paris? Why would they do that? Does that not just show you who exactly CNN is and the type of people they are? Like, they have no respect for Trump and his wishes. They have no respect for this country. They have no respect for what is real and what is fake news. They wouldn't know real news if it danced across their face and knocked on their eyelids. They wouldn't know. They don't care. They're not opposed to lying. And so Jim Acosta, after the whole debacle at the White House, which was embarrassing to even watch, they send him to cover Trump in Florida? Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And yet still believable. Strange. Okay. Now, and then there's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who can't afford an apartment in Washington, D.C. before her job starts in January, and Praying Medic says, and rightfully so, maybe she's expecting the government to give her one for free. Well, apparently some celebrity chef has gone ahead and given her that apartment, so she believes that everyone should be entitled to everything for free, so I would have let her find out on her own that, gee, you know what? No such thing as a paid lunch, and that's, you gotta pay. You gotta pay. You know, she's an economic major. She should have budgeted her money better. Now, I don't know how much apartments are in Washington. Maybe they are just completely out of reach. I know for Toronto, where I wanted to live, apartments, I mean, you really can't get anything decent under 2,000, and I think that's a lot. I think it's a lot, and you can't get a home that you would live in under $1 million. There's just no way. And I mean that you would live in. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be too hard on her, but I certainly don't agree with her politics, and I think she's a very silly young woman. Very silly young woman. And not just funny, I think that you can be funny without being stupid. I think Roseanne Barr is hysterical, and I think she's very smart. Now, I didn't used to have that opinion at all, but lately I've saw a side of her that I've got some respect for her. I may not agree with everything she does and believes and thinks, but I do respect her. Anyway, let's look at this. I have obviously started and said it was important, so it must be. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, now, wait, hang on. Hang with me, guys. Hang with me. All right. Let's listen to Trump. Gotta love him.
Paid a lot of money to write a book.
Hang on here. Wait.
Oh, Michelle Obama said that. I haven't seen it. I guess she wrote a book. She got paid a lot of money to write a book. And they always insist that you come up with controversial. Well, I'll give you a little controversy back. I'll never forgive him for what he did to our United States military. By not funding it properly, it was depleted. Everything was old and tired. And I came in and I had to fix it. And I'm in the process of spending tremendous amounts of money. So I'll never forgive him for what he did to our military. I'll never forgive him for what he did in many other ways, which I'll talk to you about in the future.
Pretty wild, isn't it? That's Donald J. Trump talking about Obama. I'll never forgive him for what he did to our United States military. I'll never forgive him for what he did in many other ways, which I'll talk to you about in the future. Well, isn't that interesting? I bet you Obama and Michelle Obama are both I'm probably running out for some adult underwear. And anyway, then we've got Michelle Obama talking about how she had to have in vitro fertilization to give birth to those two girls. Well, if she gave birth to those two girls, well, that would be world-shaking news, wouldn't it? That would be world-shaking news indeed, because I think it's a little bit impossible, if you know what I mean, because one of those surprise packages that they found where it was in her pants, you know. Anyway, let's go back. Florida. Here we go again. I told you this was kind of mixed up. I was fired for witnessing possible absentee ballot fraud. Saw 4 supervisor of elections employees sitting at the same table actively filling out election ballots. Each had a stack of blank ballots to the right of them and a stack of completed ballots to their left. I would say that that's fraud. I think that just about anybody would. So let's hope that this gets dealt with swiftly. And here's something that you'll find very interesting. Breaking. According to sources, Robert Mueller, Rod Rosenstein, members of the Mueller team, and others are soon to be arrested and charged after a month-long investigation by the FBI. Developing. Now, this is by Josh Cornett. I don't know about the veracity of this. I have tried to verify it and I can't, but that doesn't mean it's not true. And so I'm putting that out there. And here's something else that I've said is important. So let's go take a look at it. But it won't let me go. Please. Please. Okay. Why is that, I wonder? HRT Blaze. Well, I'll have to find what that was and bring it to you tomorrow. Anyway, I grabbed these 2 tweets by Donald Trump. As soon as Democrats sent their best election-stealing lawyer, Mark Elias, to Broward County, they miraculously started finding Democrat votes. Don't worry, Florida. I'm sending a much better lawyers to expose the fraud. That's our Donald Trump. That's our president. He's sending the best lawyers to reveal the fraud. And underneath, you mean they're just now finding votes in Florida and Georgia? But the election was on Tuesday. Let's blame the Russians and demand an immediate apology from President Putin. Oh, you gotta love Donald Trump. You have got to love him. He is the master troller. Now, and we also have here, which I think is interesting, a presidential proclamation addressing mass migration through the southern border of the United States. And this was issued today, November 9th. This is brand new information. The United States expects the arrival at the border between the United States and Mexico, southern border, of a substantial number of aliens, primarily from Central America, who appear to have no lawful basis for admission into our country. They are traveling in large organized groups through Mexico and reportedly intend to enter the United States unlawfully or without proper documentation and to seek asylum, despite the fact that, based on past experience, a significant majority will not be eligible or be granted that benefit. Many entered Mexico unlawfully, some with violence, and have rejected opportunities to apply for asylum and benefits in Mexico. The arrival of large numbers of aliens will contribute to the overloading of our immigration and asylum system and to the release of thousands of aliens into the interior of the United States. The continuing and threatened mass migration of aliens with no basis for admission into the United States through our southern border has precipitated a crisis and undermines the integrity of our borders. I therefore must take immediate action to protect the national interest and to maintain the effectiveness of the asylum system for the legitimate asylum seekers who demonstrate that they have fled persecution and warrant the many special benefits associated with asylum. In recent weeks, an average of approximately 2,000 inadmissible aliens have entered each day at our southern border. In fiscal year 2018, overall, 124,511 aliens were found inadmissible at ports of entry on the southern border, while 396,579 aliens were apprehended entering the United States unlawfully between such ports of entry. The great number of aliens who cross unlawfully into the United States through the southern border consumes tremendous resources as the government seeks to surveil, apprehend, screen, process, and detain them. Aliens who enter the United States unlawfully or without proper documentation and are subject to expedited removal may avoid being promptly removed by demonstrating during an initial screening process a credible fear of persecution or torture. Approximately 2 decades ago, most aliens deemed inadmissible at a port of entry or apprehended after unlawfully entering the United States through the southern border were single adults who were promptly returned to Mexico, and very few asserted a fear of return. Since then, however, there has been a massive increase in fear of persecution or torture claims by aliens who enter the United States through the southern border. The vast majority of such aliens are found to satisfy the credible fear threshold, although only a fraction of the claimants who claims are adjudicated ultimately qualify for asylum or other protection. Aliens found to have a credible fear are often released into the interior of the United States as a result of lack of detention space and a variety of other legal and practical difficulties pending adjudication of their claims in a full removal proceeding in immigration court. The immigration adjudication process often takes years to complete because of the growing volume of claims and because of the need to expedite proceedings for detained aliens. During that time, many released aliens fail to appear for hearings, do not comply with subsequent orders of removal, or are difficult to locate and remove. I'm not going to read the rest of this because it's very long and I've already read a lot of it, but it's out there and very easy to find under whitehouse.gov presidential actions and then presidential proclamation addressing mass migration, southern border, United States. Probably pretty easy to find if you Google it. So let's go back. I'm going to cut this off very soon because this too is getting large and there's a lot of news. But rumor has it that Feinstein is resigning. True, I haven't been able to confirm it, but the Washington Post stated, and this is interesting, if I can truly get to it, sometimes I can't with the Washington Post. What is happening here? I don't know. My Word document just kind of went all funky. There we go. I hate it when your documents get funky. Why didn't she bring it up? Feinstein under scrutiny for handling of allegations against Kavanaugh. So I'm not going to read all that, but that is what the issue is. It's the handling of allegations against Kavanaugh. And I don't know, there's rumors out there that she will be resigning. So let's keep an eye on that. I will, and I'll bring it to you as soon as I find evidence of that. And let's see down here. This was just a little bit ago. Donald Trump said, just out in Arizona, signatures don't match. Electoral corruption. Call for a new election. We must protect our democracy. That would be interesting if they called for a new election. Extremely expensive, but I don't know. Maybe they'll just call for new elections in those areas where fraud has been uncovered. that would make sense. I don't think it would make sense to have a new election for the entire country if they are confident that no voter fraud, took place in those places. So I don't know, but that is it for tonight. And I thought I had an article about Michelle Obama and the kids that she's claiming that were conceived of in vitro fertilization, but I don't. I thought I did, but I don't. So we can touch on that maybe tomorrow in Q-related news, or there may be a lot of Q posts we have to go over tomorrow. I don't know yet. One never knows. The news is just exploding on all sides, and it's a lot to keep up with, but I'll do my best, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I hope you have a great evening. It is 9:50 p.m. Eastern time, so there's still a couple more hours. If Q posts tonight, I may come back and do a short video on those posts. I don't know if he will, but if he does, then you can probably expect me to come back. If not, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening. I appreciate you guys. I really do. And you keep me entertained with your comments. You really do. So I'll talk to you guys soon.